Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Eli's Kingdom. And yep, we finally killed the dragon, and we finally got our elytra, which looks fantastic, covered in bows. I'm just trying out this this flying trick, you know, where you use one of these bows with punch 2, and you can pretty much shoot yourself to get yourself propelled through the air. And it seems to be working. I'm kind of getting the hang of it. It's tricky to do, and it's even trickier to land, but, you know, we can explore new spaces, and we can kind of see the kingdom from the sky now, which is just really cool. I think this is going to be a great way to get around. Like, we can actually get to the mesa in just a couple seconds, and I think it's actually going to be faster than taking the nether portal, so yeah, this could definitely be kind of a new way of traveling around, you know, just kind of spaces where, you know, they're not too far away. There's no point in taking a nether portal to get there. And it's certainly very good for getting to high places as well. I mean, it's going to take me a while to get the hang of it. And I do seem to be going through food like there's no tomorrow. Which is something I'm going to have to do fairly soon because my food supplies are running very, very low. But yeah, what it's made me realize is that every time we do a build, we should probably try and design our build so that we have kind of elytra landing pads and probably launching pads as well, because I think a lot of the time we're going to be traveling around through the sky. So we can have our ground door where we would just normally access from the ground, of course, but then some kind of landing pad. I think that could be amazing, and it's something I've not really thought about doing, but it certainly should be on the to-do list. But yeah, I'm going to have to maybe think about this because we don't really have any way of launching from this storage room, and we're going to be spending a lot of time in the storage room anyway. I could potentially do an elytra launcher outside. I think that could be a lot of fun. I might actually do that because I'm kind of looking forward to that. I know it sends you up ridiculously high, so that could be a good plan for a future episode. But anyways, we are now on episode 10. We've killed the dragon, we've got the elytra, and I've done some changes to the roof, as you can see. I did this between episodes, just kind of playing out with a few designs. This did take a long time to do. It's kind of, I'm not entirely happy with it, but at the same time, I know that I'm never going to get something which I'm amazingly happy with, so I think we're just going to go for something like this. And I've tried to soften some of these edges as well by just adding a few extra blocks in. I think this maybe looks too symmetrical, so I may actually go back later and just kind of, mess this up a bit so it's not as even, because I think it looks a bit odd. I don't know, it's really hard to tell. It might be better to wait until the full roof is in just to see how that looks. And it's going to be tricky on this side as well because, we've got all the circuitry for our super smelters. So I don't know what I'm going to do here because we can't push the roof as far back there. I guess we could, but we're going to be seeing bits here, so it might look a bit weird. I'm not too sure what to do. I'm going to have to think about this and really try and plan this out. But anyway, between episodes, I did some resource gathering because we were dangerously low on hoppers and chests and things, so needed to get some quite badly. I did some AFKing up at the skeleton farm, so I managed to put mending on our elytra, which I think we're going to need pretty soon because this thing is almost down at 0. And I did actually get a couple mending books as well from there, so I think we've got 3 that I can potentially use on various things. I'll probably have to do some more AFKing there shortly to get myself, to basically repair require this, I think. But yeah, let's go take a look down in the basement, because that's where we're going to have to spend the first half of this episode. So yeah, this is kind of, it's almost done, and we are almost ready for a complete systems test. I think there's just a few more bits and pieces to do. We have to we have to fill up the items in these item sorters. So it shouldn't take too long, because I think I have everything. You know, it's just the basic common items that I already have loads of. I think the only one I'm not really happy about at the moment is wet sponge, because it's going to take, I think it's 41 wet sponge, which is kind of quite a rare resource. So I mean, it should be okay, because I think we have a stack and a half, and that's just from one ocean monument, and we do have another ocean monument to raid at some point fairly soon. So yeah, I think we're going to get loads of wet sponge, and I can't really picture myself using it that much. I mean, it's kind of a pain to use. So anyways, for the first part of this episode, we need to design the kind of redstone contraption, which is going to go here. This is going to be the mechanism for basically picking out the coal and the clay. We're going to take 50% of it, and that's going to go into this hopper line here, and the other 50% is going to go back into this top hopper line here. So I'll have to put it in on this side, I think. So let me go gather some resources, get some redstone, and let's get started on building this. Okay, so the contraption we're going to build is going to be very similar to this one, with just a few slight tweaks. Now, the basic concept behind this is that we have a minecart which bobs back and forth, and that allows items to evenly distribute between these two hoppers. And then we have a central hopper in the middle, which is the one that deposits items into the minecart. And we also have this turned off by default, which is basically my way of trying to save the planet. You know, we don't want to waste any energy while this is not in use, so I like to have these things turned off by default. And to do that, we have it, or actually, probably the best way to describe this is when we have items in this hopper, it actually activates the whole system, and it will activate this clock, and the clock allows it to stay active for pretty much the whole time the items are in here, but it will also stay active for a short time afterwards. So yeah, when items are in here, this activates this comparator, which fires up this circuit and turns on the clock. And when this is on, we get a signal coming through actually this block here, which we extract, and that comes along here and powers this rail underneath this minecart. So we want to do the same thing over here. So I think basically we can take the same signal from this dot here. So if I put a block there, and we can take a repeater coming out of this block, we can do that into another block, and then we can have our rail here. So I think what we want to do is we want 2 temporary blocks there. We can do 2 repeaters into those blocks, block in the middle, and then we can do a rail on top of those. So yeah, we're gonna have to take a comparator output from the middle hopper. So the hopper is gonna be there. We'll have to do a block out there, and then we can do the comparator there. And I think, yeah, we want to get this hooked up to this wire. So let's put that into a block. We probably can't put anything on here, so I think we're gonna have to take it overhead. Yeah, so let's do that. Yeah, and we'll put some redstone dust on top there. Then I think this one we probably can't do a solid block, because I think that's just not going to work. You know, I don't know if it's going to get any power from that, and it may also power this piston. So we can do a half slab there. I think we can do a solid block here. That's not going to matter too much, and that should connect up to that. So is that going to work? No, I think we're going to need a repeater, aren't we? Yeah. Let's just let's jump up here. I think this one is going to need to be a repeater, because we're only going to get signal strength of 1 coming out of this comparator. So that should be fine for that. Now, these hoppers, I think we're going to pass into droppers. So we're actually going to need dropper elevators for both sides. So one of them is going to take items up to the very top to go into this hopper here, and then the other one we're going to have to feed it kind of way over there. So hopefully we've got space for that. So I think, yeah, we're going to have them here, I think. And it should be enough room for the redstone, because we can have all the torches and things on this side. So this is going to be a similar trick to what we've done previously, where we just have the comparator outputs coming out of this, and yeah, we I can never remember the circuit for this, but it's fairly standard to do. I think this is all we really need. And then obviously this one's going to have a block there, and we can power this using a lever. So I think that's all we need. Don't think there's anything else specific apart from hooking up this dropper line. So I think originally I was going to take out this one, but let's just move these around because I don't think we're going to need it to go in that direction. So let me just put a temporary block in for now. Hopper there, hopper into that, take out this block. Yeah, we're going to have to take this over slightly. So let's do that here and there. Okay, that should be it. That should be everything. So all we need to do now is do the dropper elevators. Okay guys, so in theory everything should be hooked up now. We've got our dropper elevators in place, we have all the circuitry behind, we have these hopper streams in place to take items where they need to go. I think it's ready for a test, so we can actually go and dump a heap of coal into this hopper. Now, this should turn this on. Yep, that's perfect. So that bobs back and forth. I think we're actually going to get both sides bobbing back and forth, but that's not the end of the world. Now, hopefully, fairly soon, we'll get items coming out of here. Yep, perfect. That's brilliant. And we should get them coming out of both sides as well. So, is there any coal coming here? That's a bit concerning. There should be coal coming here. Oh no. Why is there no coal coming out? What's going on? What is going on? I don't get that. Oh no. No. Okay, so it turns out that if we put items into this hopper here, which is our kind of input line from this side, then we do get the 50-50 distribution evenly, so it just seems to be from this line here that we get items preferring this side. And I think what it probably is it's the speed of these dropper elevators, because they're quite slow. And because they're quite slow, they probably have a delay of maybe 4 ticks or something, and it seems to be the exact delay that this thing needs to move back and forth. So what's happening is items are actually going into the minecart, but they're only going into the minecart when this is moving to the left. And then there's a delay, which means this can move to the right, and it doesn't need to pick up anything, and then when it moves back to the left, it finally picks up some coal. So yeah, that's something I didn't consider. I'm gonna have to give this some thought to how to fix it. I think probably the easiest solution is actually to change the dropper elevator, and instead of using this circuitry, which is just the standard dropper elevator, we can actually try and do some kind of faster pulse system here, which should allow items to pass up slightly faster, which I think might fix it. I hope it will anyway. Two things to point out. The first one is that I think I figured out a way of getting this to work, and this involves adding a small delay to this hopper line. So basically what I've done here is I've added in this clock circuit. Now this is kind of off by default, so you know, this torch is off, which is powered from this torch here. So when our circuit fires up, then this repeater fires up, turns off this torch, which allows this to pulse. Now my thinking behind this is if we can create a small backup in this hopper line, then rather than delivering one item every so often, we can deliver a bunch of items every so often. And that should allow for a bit more of an even distribution, because we'll get more items going down at the same time, which allows them to get pushed either to the left or to the right. So in theory that should work. I did toy with the idea of using a burnout torch clock on the droppers so it would fire really fast, but then I came to the conclusion that that just wouldn't work at all, because the actual slow input into this is because of the minecart. You know, it takes quite a while for items to get sent between the two sides, so that just wouldn't work at all. Now the second thing to point out, which is probably a bit more serious, is that this just doesn't work. Unfortunately, I think it's going to have to get changed, because I've done a little test. Now, I went back up to my central input chest and I dumped in a stack of coal. I put down a block here to stop the water stream and another one on the other side. And if we put a stack of coal into the central chest, then when it eventually arrives into here, we don't get 32 on either side. It's actually quite uneven. I think it's close to 32, but it's not quite right. And I think the main reason behind that is if I just power up this circuit, I think it's because the minecarts are just a bit too uneven. Like, they don't quite seem to bounce back with the same rate each time. Sometimes they come very close to touching the end here, and then other times they seem to stop halfway in the center, and then they'll lag out for no reason, and it just doesn't seem to be very even. So I think, unfortunately, this isn't just going to work. You know, I want this system to be perfect. I want it to be flawless. I don't want to have too much coal on one side and not enough on the other side. I want exactly 50-50 distribution. So I think, unfortunately, that means we're going to have to tear this out and put something else in its place. Now, because I want it to be perfect, then I think what we'll do is we'll actually do what we did back up in the AFK skeleton farm, where I think it was way back in episode 4 or 5, we had that problem where we were trying to get items to distribute evenly between the two sides of the chest. And the best way I found to do that was to actually use a T flip-flop. So basically we introduced this binary circuit where it's... Oh, jeez. Oh, that just scared the hell out of me. Oh my god. Don't you dare do that. Oh, Jesus. Oh. I just jumped out of my skin. Oh. Okay, so I managed to calm myself down now. That was so scary. I think it's 2 a.m. here and I'm sitting in the dark recording, and that's why it was just so scary, because I wasn't expecting that. And for about a minute afterwards, I was convinced there was a creeper in my room, and I just couldn't sit still. I had to keep on looking behind me to make sure there's nothing there. But anyway, before I was rudely interrupted, yeah, we need to introduce this binary circuit here. So it will have two states. It'll either be on or off, and so it's basically a T flip-flop, and it will push items in one direction when it's on, and then when it's off, it will get items sent in the other direction. And I think the really good thing about this circuit is it has a memory as well, so it will remember where it last sent items. So if we were to just send one piece of coal through our hopper line, it will send that in one of the directions, and it will remember it did that, and then the next single piece of coal we send through, it will send it in the other one. So I think that's going to work. It seems to be a very efficient system, and it's very lag friendly because we don't have any minecarts bobbing back and forth. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that now. So I've just popped into a redstone testing world to try my hand at designing the item splitter circuit. This thing has taken a lot longer than I care to admit. I think I've gone through maybe 6 or 7 designs before I've reached one that I've fairly happy with, and it's been really problematic. It turns out this isn't as easy as it seems. If you do a YouTube search for Minecraft item splitter, there isn't really that much that comes up, and you know, the things that do come up, they tend to use a lot of pistons. They're constantly firing, so it's very noisy, and they don't have the memory circuit which we need, so we can remember which side we send our items to if we were just sending one item at a time. So yeah, it's taken quite a long time to develop something that works. Now, if I just do a little replica of what we have in our little storage room, where we have our 2 droppers, and we have a hopper going in the top of each one. There's one in the top there, one on the side, and then we have another one there. Now, this is our central input line here. The main principle we have behind this is that normally items will either want to go to the left and down to the left-hand side, or they want to go down and right to fill up this dropper. Now, in order to decide which direction they're going in, we can lock this hopper here by using a block that we can power from beneath. So when this is locked, items go to the left. When it's unlocked, items go to the right. And we can then take a comparator output coming from this hopper, which should be able to tell us when items are in this hopper, so we can use this to activate a clock or some other mechanism to allow this torch to power on and off at intervals. And in theory, this should work. It should be fairly simple to do, but in practice, it just doesn't work at all. This has just been one really long day of finding kind of flaws and bugs in the game that don't seem to work. Now, I can actually show you why it doesn't work, and this is something really frustrating that I don't know if it's just to do with my computer or if it's something that other people experience, but here's a little contraption I built quite some time ago to actually study hoppers and comparators coming out of these hoppers. This is just a hopper line going down, so items just get passed from the top to the bottom into this chest. And then for every hopper, we have a comparator attached to a redstone lamp. So when there's items in these hoppers, these lamps should all turn on. But as you can see here, if I just throw in a stack of items, as they pass down, we don't get any of the lamps turning on, which is really frustrating. If you actually take a look at these hoppers, hoppers, you can see that items are passing through, but they seem to pass through so fast that, you know, they don't exist here long enough for these comparators to turn on. So this is the big problem we have, is we can't actually detect when items are in these hoppers because they just move so fast. I have no idea if this is just my computer. I mean, at the moment I'm getting about 400 frames a second, which is pretty high, and I do have a very high spec computer, so I don't know if other people with, you know, lower spec computers, if this seems to work for them, or I really don't know. So it'd be something I'm interested to find out. But basically we can't rely on taking a comparator output from a hopper because it's just too unreliable. So in order to fix this, the only thing I can think of that we can do is to actually lock this top hopper here. And we can do that simply by having some kind of mechanism where we have, say, a torch on here, and this torch will power this redstone dust, which will lock the hopper. So when this is locked, then items should start backing up in this hopper, which means we're guaranteed to get a signal. Now, one really interesting thing about locked hoppers, which I didn't realize, is when they're actually locked in the direction they point in. So this shouldn't allow items to move into this hopper here. However, if that torch wasn't there, even though this is locked, items are actually free to pass down. I think it's just the property of locked hoppers is they're able to be pulled when they're locked, but they're not able to be pushed when they're locked. So we can actually use this to our advantage because we have these two torches here. So if we were to alternate which torch was on and which torch was off, then say if the top one is on and the bottom one is off, then items will be free to move down and over to this side. And then if we reverse that and we have the top torch off and the bottom torch on, then items should be free to move to this side. So we have those two states, and then we also need the third state where both torches are on so that we can actually have this waiting ready to start backing up with items. So that's the basic principle behind this circuit, which should be completely kind of lag friendly, system friendly. It should just work under any circumstances. Now, this is the design I came up with, and it probably can be compressed a little bit further, but this actually uses this kind of miniature hopper clock thing where we just have one item in these two hoppers which are pointing into each other. Now, hoppers are kind of perfect for creating a clock for hoppers because, of course, they are the same, so they have the same delay, which I think is 4 redstone ticks for this. So this will actually, this is a clock which should pulse back and forth between these two circuits, and it should have a 4-tick delay between the two, which is perfect for this system. Now, these two circuits will allow one of these torches to be on while the other one's off, and vice versa, depending on which ones are active. And these are actually disengaged by these pistons, so by default, these pistons are retracted, which means both torches are on. But when we get a comparator output coming from this hopper, this fires up this circuit, which basically allows these pistons to extend. So in theory, this should work. And believe it or not, this little hopper clock thing also has a memory state as well, because we can lock these hoppers. When this comparator stops producing a signal, then this torch turns on. These get locked, so this preserves the last state which they were in. So that means that we can actually put in, say, let me just check that these are empty. Yes, they are. We can put in one item here, and we have the repeater on the left, which was powered on, and now we have the repeater on the right, which is powered on, so it's actually switched sides. And then if we just do one more redstone dust in there, we'll see that the one on the right was powered on, and now the one on the left is powered on, so it's switched sides again. And that means that we've preserved the memory, and we have one piece of redstone dust in each side. So that's perfect. We have the memory circuit working to remember that, and we can also test this out by, let's throw in a full stack of redstone dust, and this should do a nice even distribution of 32 on each side. I think it is very important for this to be on 3 ticks, because this 3 ticks plus 1 tick delay for this allows the 4-tick delay, which is long enough for this thing to switch sides. So this seems to work. There has been a few slight problems with it. I've had to add in this kind of pulse extender circuit to allow these to extend, because sometimes our comparator turns off, which is a little bit frustrating. It shouldn't do that, but it does. So let's just check this out. We should have, I mean, okay, slightly off by, where's the other one? I think it's stuck in that hopper. Yeah, sometimes that happens as well, but that's not so bad if we just lose one item. So in theory, this should distribute perfectly evenly, and I think it's going to work. It's a nice little smart circuit that has a bunch of features all in one. It can probably be compressed a little bit further, so I might spend some time trying to do that, but let's go ahead and build this in our kingdom. Our item divider circuits are now in place, and I think think we're ready for a full systems test. I'm kind of nervous though because there's just so many hoppers here. I'm kind of expecting a lot of lag and things to not quite work. I've even gone and put all the items in our item sorters. So we should be good to go for everything. I've even done the wet sponge. So we should be able to heat up our wet sponge and dry that out. I did have to add in a few more comparators here because I noticed that the pistons were retracting more than they should. So I think that might just be some lag. But yeah, let's go ahead and do a full system test. So if I throw a stack of coal into this line here, then we should get 32 getting sent over to this side and the other 32 which gets sent over to our whatever you call this, our normal storage area. Now this should be turned off, so items should start backing up in this dropper. So let's go and see if this is going to work. I'm really nervous, so let's put it in this hopper here. Okay, good, that's firing up. That's definitely alternating, so that's perfect. We should start seeing stuff come out of these droppers soon. Good, this one's firing up as well. That's good, we've got stuff coming out. A bit slower than I was hoping for, but I mean, there is a lot going on. I can see some coal on the other side, so that's good. So we should be getting 16 on this side, 16 on this side, and then we should have 32 in the dropper that's over by the storage area. So let's see what happens. Let's wait for these pistons to turn off. There we go. We can go count them now. So there should be 16, please. Oh no, it's close, but it's not quite there. Let's just check, see if there's any in the pipe. Nope, there's none in the pipe. So we had 20, what's this one? 37, that's not even close to being correct. I don't know why it's done that. Check that one, there's one in the pipe, so it's 38. So we had 20 on that side, we had 18 on this side. And there should be the rest of them in here. Yeah, 26, so adds up to 64. Okay, so something's not quite right. I think it's probably just the lag. I'm not sure if we can ever quite fix that. I'll certainly play around with some of the repeater timings. It might be able to enhance it, but I don't know if this is ever going to truly work. I think there may just be too much lag in the game. These hoppers tend to be a little bit unpredictable at the best of times, so I really don't know. I'm going to call that a win for now, though, because I don't think I can do any better at this stage. But given this is all ready to test, we can actually test our main input chest as well, and we should get some of the items get sent up to the automatic smelter, and then the rest should just land in this dropper. So I've gone and put some stuff together. I've got my 18 iron ore, 18 gold ore, 63 raw fish. This has to be a multiple of 9. Same with these two. Yeah, they have to be multiples of 9. And let's go and do 36 netherrack. So I want to pop these in the chest and see what happens. See, I need to make sure I've got a note of this so we can actually remember. Our netherrack silo is empty as well, so we should be getting 36 in there. So, fingers crossed, let's see what happens. Oh, let's go. Okay, I can hear things clicking underneath me, so that's a good sign. This should be items getting transported up to our super smelters. And any minute now, these things should fire up if everything's going to plan. Let's just stand back here. Hopefully there's no creepers. We should see everything fire up in just a second. I don't know if they're going to be in sync or not. They probably won't be. There we go. We got one side done. Are we going to get the other side? Come on. Please, 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 please. Please fire. Please fire. Come on. Why aren't you firing? Come on. No. Okay, I've discovered the source of why that left super smelter wasn't firing. For some reason, we have things backing up in this dropper. Although on the plus side, we do seem to have a nice even distribution here. So we got 9, 9. I think this should be, what was it? We had 63. So yeah, 31 makes sense. So I think that's fine. This, obviously, I've just wired this up incorrectly. So let me fix this and then hopefully everything should be working. Any minute now, we should see this firing up. Come on. No, it's not working. Okay, so finally fixed the circuit down there to find that this thing's backing up here now, and I'm pretty sure it's this lever, which is used to turn off this system here. So, I think we're gonna have to turn this lever back on, but that's kind of frustrating. Okay, so a little bit odd, but we are supposed to have 18 gold, and for some reason we only have 16. We're supposed to have 18 iron, and for some reason we have 22. I don't know where the extras come from. We're supposed to have 63 cooked fish, but we have 55, so seems to be some missing somewhere. I'm not too sure where they all are. And then we should have 36 netherrack in the storage silo, so let's go check that out. Where has it gone? I honestly don't know where this is all gone. Let's go check this out. So yeah, the netherrack should be this pipe here, which goes into this dropper. Oh, there it is, there it is. Okay, so we can close that one up, but that doesn't really explain anything else. I think we've got to go check out the super smelters to see if there's any items which have probably got stuck in the chests. Aha! I've managed to locate the missing cooked fish, and yeah, just a simple 1 block gap seems to be enough just to destroy the whole system. So yeah, as long as we patch this up here, then I think in theory that should be fine. Let's do some more tests. After one more test, everything seems to be working now. I think just patching those holes seemed to fix everything, and we did get all the items back that we put into the system, so pretty happy with that. And one thing I do want to point out is I actually noticed while we were doing that our dual super smelters, they seem to fire in sync, which is something I kind of wished would happen, but I didn't actually plan for it. And it's kind of a bit of a fluke really, because we have 2 water streams, but they both start around about here. So one of them is shorter than the other one, but the shorter one, I've actually put some of these stone bricks in the ground to slow items down before the coal, the coal item sorter. And I didn't bother doing that on the left-hand side because, well, I forgot. So, but what it means is the items actually slow down on the shorter one long enough to enter the item elevator at the same time as the longer stream. So these two seem to fire perfectly in sync, which is just perfect, really good. So I think for the final part of this episode, I need to test this central input with these chests here, because this is something I haven't done yet. So basically we'll do the same thing. So we can take a bunch of items. So let's take 38 spruce. What else do I have? We've got 34 oak. Let's do something from the top level. So let's take 39 of the polished granite and one more. Let's do 54 sugarcane. So let's give that a try. And I guess we could throw in the, what else do we have? No, I'll just do that for now. So yep, 39, 38, 34, and 54. And I think I do have to go flick that lever as well, just to tell everything that it's ready to go. So that should be making its way all the way around the system, and it should start loading up into this dropper any second now. And all we need to do is fire this, which actually turns the clock on. There we go. And it should be really noisy for a while, but that should be items flowing into our system. So hopefully that should be everything working. Perfect landing. So that's all the clicking done now, so we can definitely check this out. So I think that was correct. It was 34 of that, so it should be 35 in total. This should be, I think it was 39. And what else was it? Granite, which goes up to 40. And then the last one was the sugarcane, 55. Perfect. So this is all working nice. We shouldn't have anything in the kind of output chest for items that aren't sorted. So perfect. I think this is all working now, thankfully. It has taken quite some time, and I know it's still got a few flaws in place, but I think for the most part it should all be functional, and there might be a bit of tweaking between episodes just to get everything up and running completely, but I am fairly happy with this. Oh dear. Well, as always guys, thank you very much for watching. I hope you did enjoy this episode. I hope it wasn't too redstone-y for you guys as well, but as always, if you did, then please do leave it a like, and if you haven't already, then please do subscribe. I've been Eli, thanks for watching.